The sun's steadily strengthening rays start to warm me up, and I watch the dew on the ground begin to steam slightly. My mind calms down a little. Someone's shaking me. Hey, wake up! Huh? Where? What? I guess I fell asleep after all. What are you doing out here? Emmy says. You're going to catch a cold or something. I rub my eyes and I'm confronted by Emmy, who bends over me with a worried expression. I'm still a little groggy, so my response comes out in a mumble. Couldn't sleep. Watch the sun come up. Sounds like something Rin would say, she says. I shrug, feeling the stiffness that comes with sleeping on a bench for a few hours. Is it? I wouldn't know. Emmy grins a little at my somewhat cranky response. So couldn't sleep, eh? Obviously, we need to run you harder today, she says. Even though I've only known her for about a week, this seems a very Emmy-ish response to the problem. Hey, my body was plenty exhausted after yesterday, I reply. My mind was just racing, that's all. I don't see the difference, she says. If you run hard enough, your brain will get tired too. I'm seriously questioning the wisdom of doing this first in the morning. I don't know if my grades will be able to handle me tiring my brain out like that. Emmy pulls me up from the bleachers with surprising strength for someone her size. Now come on, Hisao, we've got work to do. I don't actually know if I'm up to this today, to be honest. I mean, I obviously didn't get much sleep, and what sleep I got was on the bleachers. I don't know, I say. Should I really be running? Emmy glares at me. Good heavens. What are you talking about? Of course you should be running. How else do you expect to work out the kinks? You've been sleeping on the bleachers, for heaven's sake. The best way to get that soreness out is to run around a little. Now stop hiding in the bleachers and get down here. There's no arguing that. I'm pretty sure she'd kill me if I didn't do as she said. I get to my feet and hop down to the track. The sun is warming things up rather nicely, I think. Emmy and I begin to stretch out, and I find myself once again hard-pressed not to stare. If this is how I have to wake up every day, I might be able to get used to this. You know, Hisao, she says, it's not polite to stare. I wasn't staring, I swear. Emmy raises an eyebrow and considers me for a minute as if evaluating my response. There's a brief moment where I'm afraid for my life. But then she smiles and laughs, shaking her head slowly. Honestly, you didn't have to deny it so strenuously, she says. In response, I clap my hands together and go for a change of subject. So, that's enough stretching, right? Emmy gives a casual shrug. Do you feel stretched? That's really how you tell. Well, I do feel up to the run, if that's what she means. Yeah, I feel ready to go. Same as yesterday, okay, she says. We'll just run for a mile at a steady pace. Don't worry about going really fast, just worry about keeping the pace, got it? You're the boss, I say. Emmy grins again, and we take off around the track. I think I'm going to die. We're not even done with the first lap, and my legs are on fire. My breath is coming in ragged gasps. I can feel sweat pouring down my brow, and we've only just now rounded the second turn. Come on, Hisao, you've got 3 more laps to go. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. I think I might hurl. Somehow we're on the second lap. Emmy's not even sweating. How can she do this so effortlessly? For some reason, I'm still moving. She's like a machine. Third lap. What happened to the second? Almost there, Hisao. Liar. We've got another 2. Nothing to be done. I can't do this, I pant. Emmy whirls around and begins running backwards. Her face is a mask of anger that surprises me. Never say that, she says. If you say that, you'll have already lost. Keep moving. If you're alive, you can keep moving, damn it. Whoa, language. We're on the 4th lap now. She really seems to want me to keep going. Legs move, move, move. They feel so sluggish. I'm in mud or molasses or tar. I can't go on. I'll go on. Final stretch, Hisao. Give it all you've got. I pump my legs as fast as they'll go. They keep refusing to obey my commands. Somehow, I keep moving. Somehow, I finish. That's it, Hisao. I knew you had it in you. The anger Emmy showed a lap ago is gone, replaced with pride. She's positively radiant, like she just won the gold medal or something. I stagger to a stop and fall to my hands and knees, gasping for air. My heart is pounding far harder than it has in a long time. I don't think it's done this since... Oh God. Please slow down, heart. Just slow down. Stop racing. I cough and for some reason feel a grin crossing my face. So this is how I die, huh? Trying to stay healthy. How ironic. I'm all ready to give up right there. But then I feel my heart slow down. 2 hands grab under my arms and tug upwards. I look up and see Emmy standing over me with a mixture of delight and worry. On your feet, she says. Come on, you'll never catch your breath that way. Somehow I manage to stand. I try to raise my arms above my head, but they feel like lead. I start to walk around the track while Emmy keeps close to me, like she's afraid I'll fall over or something. She may not be far off. I feel terrible and say so. Emmy laughs. But you finished, didn't you? She asks. You said you couldn't, but you did. Isn't that worth it? I'm not sure, and I don't really have the breath to say so. But that small grin I felt on my face earlier hasn't left. So what if my heart's weak? I still survived this morning. Maybe I'll survive tomorrow too. As soon as it becomes apparent that I'm not going to suddenly keel over, Emmy takes off on her sprints. I don't know how the hell she can manage to sprint after running a mile, but I guess she's in much better shape than me. Once again, as I walk around the track, I can't help watching Emmy sprint. It's weird, but she's like a different person when she's pushing herself. Last time I noticed her eyes, but this time it's her mouth that catches my attention. She's not wearing her normal grin. She's still smiling, but there's a tightness to it. It's almost grim, like she's fighting a losing battle, but doesn't care. She seems to be running harder like she did yesterday. Sweat has started to pour down her face, but she keeps going. Her mouth finally opens as she can no longer get enough air through her nose. As she passes me once more, legs pumping, arms swinging in her time, and her lips slightly parted, she looks beautiful. After we've both taken some laps around the track to cool down, Emmy changes back to her usual self. The transformation I saw in her is gone. Not bad today, Hisao, she says. There's almost admiration in her voice. What do you mean, I say? I would have stopped if you hadn't yelled at me. Emmy colors a little, seemingly embarrassed about her outburst. Sorry about that. I just can't stand to see people give up, especially about something like this. Saying I can't go on is silly when you're obviously going on while you're saying it. That's what this is all about. What, I say, saying silly things? Emmy sticks her tongue out at me. Idiot, I mean showing that you're alive. Showing I'm alive, huh? I didn't know it had to be so painful. But it does feel pretty good despite that. Besides, this is one of the hardest days, she says. What do you mean, I ask. Whenever you start a workout, it's difficult the first day, really hard the second day, and then the third day is easier. You'll still get days that are really hard, but they'll pop up less and less. So this will eventually get really easy, huh? Yeah, of course, she says. But then you have to increase the difficulty or you'll never get ahead. You'll just get complacent and then lose the sense of accomplishment. So I'll have to run more than just 4 laps, huh, I say. Yep, but not for a while. You'll have to be careful, you know. A thought strikes Emmy and her face lights up. Got it, she says. Got what? You can come with me to see the nurse. That way you won't fall over dead or anything. How charming. When, I say. Right now, of course. You'll need a shower and everything, right? We don't have much time then. Grabbing my hand, she's off, pulling me along with her. My goodness, but you're in a hurry today, aren't you, Emmy? The nurse says. I have no idea how we got to the nurse's office so fast, but here we are. The nurse grins at Emmy and seems to completely ignore me. You've got plenty of time to take a shower and get to class, you know, he says. There's no need to run through the hallways like that. I could hear you coming a mile away. Somehow, it doesn't seem like he's actually scolding Emmy at all. It's like this is a sort of routine between the two of them. Emmy does a passable imitation of remorse. I'm sorry. I won't ever do it again. The nurse and Emmy both laugh at some private joke. Suddenly, it seems that he notices me. Ah, hello, Hisao. What brings you here? Well, Hisao's officially joined me on my morning run, she interrupts. I start to explain, but Emmy cuts me off. I thought he might need to visit you so that he doesn't die or anything. The nurse raises his eyebrows in mock horror. Yes, that would certainly put me out of a job fast, wouldn't it? Well then, Hisao, let's have a look at you. Lift up your shirt, would you? I'm suddenly very conscious of the fact that Emmy's in the room with me and blush in spite of myself. The nurse seems to sense my discomfort, but it only seems to amuse him. A bit shy, are we? He makes an apologetic bow to Emmy. Sorry, Emmy, I tried to get you a free show, but it doesn't seem to have worked. Emmy stiffens slightly and fires a look of annoyance at him. You're an asshole, she says. Emmy bows to me apologetically. I'll wait outside, okay, Hisao? I begin to stammer that that's not really a big deal. She doesn't have to leave, but she's already out the door, and the nurse is laughing as he watches her go. Still got it. Ha, he says. I don't follow, I say. He laughs again, like he's in on some joke that's over my head. I can still get her flustered, he explains. It's a competition of sort we've had going on for a while now. That sounds incredibly sinister to me, and it seems as if the nurse realizes that too. That sounded a lot worse than it actually is, come to think of it. I wasn't going to say anything, I say. No, you're right. I should fill you in so you don't get the wrong idea. I'm actually relatively new here, you see. I got hired on the same year Amy started going here. Before that, I worked with Amy during her initial rehab following her accident. Hold on, what? We had to amputate her legs after a really nasty car wreck. It nearly killed her and succeeded. He shuts up abruptly. I blink at receiving this unexpected piece of news. Well, that's not my place to say, he says. Anyway, we've known each other for quite a while. So we have a slightly more familiar relationship than is strictly professional. He seems embarrassed, like he's done something stupid. I guess he's really worried about that. I wave a hand to let him know it's not a big deal. Don't worry, sir, I say. I promise I'm going to be discreet. I'd been wondering about what caused Amy to lose her legs, and that was one of the scenarios I thought of. There were only so many ways that could have happened, but actually hearing about the facts, it's still a little shocking. Well, thanks, he says. You're a good kid, Hasao. I can see why Emmy became friends with you. She's quite indomitable, you know. What do you mean, I ask. You didn't see her learning to walk. She'd go for so much longer than the others in the hospital. She refused to quit. Normally, it takes years to get to a point where you can even think about running again. Emmy did it all in about a year. He almost seems proud of her, like a father who watches his daughter win a competition or something. Hell, he says, she'd probably have done it faster if not for the fact that we wouldn't let her. Wouldn't let her, I said. Why not? Because she'd go on for so long that her legs would start bleeding where they met the prosthetics, he explains. It's a real concern. It's why she comes by every day after she runs. To say nothing of the risk of infection if her legs get cut up and her prosthetics are dirty. But enough about that, he says. If we don't get you on your way soon, Amy will think we're up to something. As he says this, he gives a wink and begins checking my heartbeat. The stethoscope is way too cold. He really should have heated it up or something before he used it. After a few moments, he leans back satisfied. Well, you sound pretty good to me, Hasao. You didn't have any chest pains while you were running, did you? No, I say, not really. I had some trouble catching my breath, though, and my heart was racing by the end, too. The nurse frowns as I say this, but then shrugs. It's probably just because you're out of shape, he says. But if you don't improve, then you should let me know, okay? Don't push yourself too much. And of course, if you have any chest pains, come to see me immediately, right? I put my shirt back on, and the nurse leans out of the doorway to call in Emmy. What took you so long? Now I'm going to be late, she says. The nurse gives me a significant look. I was just seducing Hasao, that's all, he says. What? Come on, what have I told you about seducing my friends, Emmy says. I'd expect Emmy to be shocked by this, but instead she seems merely annoyed, scolding the nurse as if he were a child stealing cookies. Meanwhile, I try hard not to blush at the nurse's innuendo. I'll try not to do it again, he says, though I fear young Hasao might be lost to the female gender forever. Not freaking likely, I say. I didn't mean to say that out loud, but both the nurse and Emmy regard me for a moment before bursting into laughter again. Told you he was funny, didn't I, Emmy says. Huh, I guess Emmy does talk to the nurse about a lot of stuff. Well, Hasao, the nurse says, you should probably get moving. You still need a shower before class starts, don't you? Crap, he's got a point, and it looks like I've only got a half hour. Thanks for your time, I say. I'll see you later, Emmy. I dash out of the room as the nurse begins to remove Emmy's prosthetics. As I headed down the hallway, I can just barely hear his voice drifting after me. Emmy, you've got to be more careful. I make it back to my room and shower in record time. It occurs to me that I've already been up for 4 hours and class hasn't even started yet. This is going to be a really, really long day. I hope I don't fall asleep in class. So we awaken after a morning on the bleachers, and crazy little running girl gets us started on our program of jogging. And we begin to develop appreciation for her, not just for her physical form as she runs around, but for the determination that she has in making sure that we keep up with it as well. Then it's off to Nurse's office for a visit with him, a follow up, and finding out that the two of them have known each other for quite a while now, him being her physical therapist whenever she had her legs amputated, finding out a little bit about her accident, and finding out that the nurse has a bit of a wicked sense of humor and doesn't mind sharing it. So we will see what occurs next time as we get the next day rolling along.